has the letter and the tagim, the little crowns on top. And that all represents the two parts of being alive. There's the guf, the body, the actual body, and the nefesh, which is also very gashmius, but it also makes us who we are. You know, our DNA, let's call it, our nervous system, our psychology even. That's all gashmius. It's all nefesh. It's all conditions, all changeable. It's all. But the dibur, the ruach, is what makes us into human beings. And the neshama is the neshama. So what's fascinating, and I just want to give this mashal one more time before we go further, is that I gave the mashal of when somebody, you can sing the sefer Torah. You can sing it right, you can sing it wrong. I can't. I'm sorry, the camera. When you say Gemara, you can say it right, you can say it wrong. A lot of it depends on if you know the niggin. The way somebody sings the Gemara, Teiku, Amar Rava, Amar Abaya, right? You can really tell whether they know the pshat or not, unless they just learned how to sing it. You can tell if they know the pshat because the expression, just the general inflection in the way we talk tells you whether you know the pshat. There's a lot of cultural inflection that goes on in this world. You know, I notice like when I walk home from shul, which is not a very long walk, but if you meet, let's say, a Sephardi, so he tells you Shabbat Shalom, Umvarach, Bracha, Mach Shalom Harav, and Midul Ashkenazi, Shabbos, Shabbos. Like, what is that niggin? Shabbos. It's like, what is that? It's like a shortened, abridged Ashkenazi version of a 5-minute greeting that somebody else is giving. But it's all in the inflection. The inflection tells you everything about it. Now we learned that there's this idea that the Rashi brings in Devarim. Again, I'm saying Rashi Prakim. Rashi says in Devarim, Eish Das Lamai, that the Torah was written. Moshe Rabbeinu says Eish Das, and Rashi brings us this Yerushalmi and Shkolim, which says Eish Das means that you have to know that when the Torah was written by Hashem, it was written Eish Levana, Eish Shchira al Gabe Eish Levana. Black fire on top of white fire. We all have heard this because we all saw the Rashi, but just think about it for a second. There is no such thing as black fire, as far as I know. In Davar Kaza, what's black fire? Black fire. The minute there's heat, there's light. It can't be black. What do you say? You're a physicist.
Rabbi Schroeder talks about that you can have a center of gravity that's so strong the light can't escape from it.
Who talks?
Rabbi Schroeder.
Forget about rabbis, physics.
Dr. Schroeder, sorry. No, I'm saying in physics you can have
a black hole.
Like a black hole.
A black hole is not a black fire. It's not a fire. I'm not quite sure fire. You'd have to be so cool to be black that you wouldn't be a fire.
No, it can be very hot, but if the gravity is strong enough, the light won't be able to escape from it, so it will be black. I don't know if that's...
If you say so. Sounds like Harry Potter to me. There's a black fire. White fire could be. But anyways, the Torah was written, there must be something very, very deep in there. I think you could make a fire look black by tricking it and filling it with soot and things like that. I don't think there's anything, I don't believe there's any such thing as a black fire. But in Shemayim there's such a thing. So it's white fire, black fire, Al-Gabi white fire, which makes sense because the white fire represents the cloth, the parchment, and the black fire represents the ink. So according to the Mefarshim on the Yerushalmi, it was black fire on white fire. So Moshe Rabbeinu saw that somewhere, don't know where, it doesn't say where, but he saw it, and from there he copied the Torah, which was not on Har Sinai because, as I pointed out, on Har Sinai there was no such metzias of Moshe Rabbeinu copying the Torah from anywhere. He's talking about the Luchos Rishonos, that's what he's talking about. Moshe Rabbeinu, he can't budge from that. And Hashem gave him the 10 Commandments. That's it. He didn't walk down the mountain with the Sefer Torah. In the Old Moed, that's not what Moshe Rabbeinu was talking about. But he said that the Torah that he received on Har Sinai was Eish Das, Labai was black fire on white fire. So he didn't copy it from anywhere. Rashi says that he also saw this image, besides forgetting the, according to Rashi, the way I understand it, is this. This is really where I want to pick up. According to the way Rashi says it in Chumash, the Eish Das Labai, think about it for a second, was really that, yes, Moshe Rabbeinu received the Aseres HaDibros, the Luchos, which I'll speak about more in a minute. But besides for that, he saw the Torah, which was written from Hashem, Eish Das Lamai. And there, he must have seen more. He must have seen the Torah Shebaal Peh. Must have been something more than what was written. So I have a whole bunch of things here. I'm not sure what to open first. So let's do where we started. We started with the Kedushas Levi, I believe, right? The Kedushas Levi, I find it like it actually, it gives me chills. It's just so thought through. But this is one paragraph in the Kedusha Shniya of the Kedushas Levi al Torah. He says, Kinoida, it is well known are black. It can't be green, red, you can't be creative here, because it has to mimic the Eish. That Shachar is halacha l'maisha misinai. Because it came that way, Eish Shachar al gabe Eish Levana. Hagvil, the parchment, here David, who Eish Levana, that's white fire. The mashmais, before we even go further, is that it was Eish, meaning the parchment wasn't just a keli, which would hold the ink. And the parchment of a sefer Torah is not just a hechatimsa for writing the sefer Torah. The parchment is part of the sefer Torah. The parchment has kedusha. Parchment needs ibud lishma. You have to make parchment properly. You can't just buy parchment in China on the internet. It has to be. It's Gavaldik on Friday. I saw Gavaldik in a bad way, but there's a startup, kibbutz startup, that has manufactured a robot. I have a video of it that robotically writes an entire sefer Torah. Did you see it? There's the whole sefer Torah sewn, all this cloth. I presume it's genuine cloth. And it goes on a roller, and there's a robot that writes the whole, 100% puzzle.
What? Just regular ink from its own pen, or its feather?
No, it's ink. It gives out ink.
Okay.
It's like an electronic robotic pen. It's beautiful, actually, because they programmed in the best font that could be. It's a beautiful, beautiful sefer Torah.
No, Kedusha.
It's a Baisa Koif Balba. No, but this is not machine matzahs. This is not. this is a. And they play. It's going out into what?
To what end? To make money.
Make money. You could hear the conversation in the background that these are worth between $60,000 and $90,000 each. They take about a week to make. It's okay to say for Torah schools. By the way, I don't know that they're Rishayim. I don't think that they even realize that there's something wrong with us. We figured out how to do it better than Moshe Rabbeinu. Why should we use a feather? I mean, for heaven's sakes, a feather. It's a bit archaic, but okay.
Maybe they have a guy who's a robot.
Huh?
They found this operation.
This opera, I have a video of it. I have a video of it right here. I'll show it to you after class.
Are they a guy robot?
Toivel. No, I mean, but no, I'm only saying this I'm not saying this. It's just an amazing thing. But it's just an amazing thing, Yiddish cup. But what's the sefer Torah is big. Why do these things take a long time?
It accentuates the kedusha,
More tahar. Anyways, so he says as follows. Did I educate them? No. Oh, yes, we should. We should go make a hafgana. So he says as follows. Bear with me, it's very deep. What is the eish levana? What is the eish shechayra? So he says the Rabbi Yitzchak Barditchever. The eish levana, the white fire, which David was asking about, what is the klaf? Hu neged ha'olam ha'ayin. Okay, we know that the let's put on our deepest thinking here. The world was created yesh mi'ayin, ex nihilo yesh mi'ayin. You know, the Reb Chaim, the Reb Chaim Volozhin in the Hakdama, he writes that the ayin eso einai elaharim me'ayin yavo ezri doesn't only mean that from whence, as Shlomo says, shall come my help, because whence is anyways not a word, I don't think. From whence shall come my word, my help. But me'ayin yavai ezri, that my Yeshua can come yesh me'ayin. When there's no makom, there's no misvara, there's nothing there which should give me a Yeshua. The ingredients are not there for the recipe of Yeshua. Me'ayin Yavai Ezri. The whole pasuk is actually very special because Eso Einai Eloharim, the Gemara says, Al Tikra Harim Eloharim. What David HaMelech was talking about was Schus Avos. And he said, when I look up to Schus Avos, I don't have to have any reason, any logical teva reason, natural reason why a Yeshua should come. Because when it comes to Schus Avos, so I can have a Yeshua from nothing. Miyodea. Every single time I meet somebody who became a Baal Tshuva, I try to ask them, who was your grandfather? Who was your great-grandfather? It's not Stam. Somebody should become a Baal Tshuva. It comes from somewhere. And it looks like, at least, Me'ayin Yavai Ezra. But here's how I'll tell you, the Reb Chaim Volozhin, the Nefesh Hachaim, in the Hakdama, he says, don't think, and I'm just throwing this out here, don't think that ayin means no bria. Ayin was a creation unto itself. It's just where we start. There's an olam way before ayin. When we say Hashem made the world, yesh mi ayin ex nilo, the nilo is also a creation. For instance, va'olam haisa sayu vavoihu. The world was full of nothingness, says the King James Bible. It's not tohu vavohu is azach. Hashem made tohu vavohu, and from the tohu vavohu, He made a world. He made the world yesh mi ayin. Ayin is a thing. What does that mean? What would the world be without ayin? We don't even understand ayin. How can we understand the world without ayin? On this it says, don't bother, you're not going to get it. You're not going to understand it. It's what's called in the lashon of the Zohar, it's reisha de lo yisyada. The biggest minds in the world had a reisha de lo yisyada. This is a beginning which is not comprehensible. Simply not comprehensible. The reisha de lo yisyada. But we can know it's there, right? We can know there's such a thing that's there, not to try to imagine. You're talking about a black hole. You're way into the bria already. You're way into the bria. Reisha de lo yisyada means that the world was created something from nothing. That's something that, even the alchemists didn't think they could do. Yesh me'ayin, something from nothing, but the nothing was also a bria. So but what is the bria of ayin? Says Rabbi Yitzchak Barditchever, such a important thing. Eish levana hu neged ha'olam ha'ayin asher hu haratzain ha'elyon. The ayin is ratzain. Your Chaim, you have to update your chart here. Ayin is ratzain. Remember we talked about ratzon? Everything's about ratzon. The first thing in our process, any process that we do, is what do we want to do? That's the first step of the process. Lashon of the Graz, Hakol Hoylech Achar Ratzain Harishon. Ultimately, and you see people, they have such convoluted thinking and such convoluted knowledge and understanding of things, even very smart people, because Hakol Hoylech Achar Ratzain Harishon, they automatically become completely biased to their first thought. This is what I want to do, now let's make it work. And this is it's the Torah is supposed to get us out of that kind of crazy thinking, because you could end up killing people with this type of thought. So what you really have to work on is the ratzon. That's the ratzon of a person. There's also the ratzon of Hashem. So the ratzon of Hashem, we know there's such a thing as ratzon Hashem. So what's the ratzon of Hashem? Ratzon of Hashem is what He meant for the world to be before He created the world. So once you get to Bereshis Bar Elokim, you're on the chapter 50 already. What he wanted the world to be, which is the Ratzon Hashem, is called in the lashon of Kabbalah ayin. So yesh mi ayin, which makes perfect sense. Yesh mi ayin doesn't mean that He made something from nothing. He made something from His Ratzon. The ayin is something, which gives us even a deeper pshat in me ayin yava yazri. Me'ayin Yahweh Yazri. Yeah. No, it's a fact. Me'ayin. But me'ayin can mean, it can come from nowhere, my Yeshua, me'ayin Yahweh Yazri, or it could come from my Ratzon. You could have such a deep Ratzon, and if you match up your Ratzon to the Ratzon Hashem, so that's the ingredients for a miracle.
We're saying it's Hashem's Ratzon, but once we met
The whole chap here is, in Tefillah and in Torah, the whole chap of being alive is to make your Ratzon and Hashem's Ratzon one. Hence we always say, Im Yirtzeh Hashem, Im Yirtzeh Hashem.
Is it Ratzon Kesser?
Ratzon is in the Kesser. Ratzon is in Kesser. Which is the highest, you could go higher than that, but because where does Ratzon come from? Where's our Ratzon come from? It depends.
How do you reconcile the idea that Ratzon is in the Nefesh?
So Ratzon manifests itself, a Nefesh Ratzon, right? Ratzon first manifests itself in the mirrored Gashmius part of this world. Ratzon Hashem is in the Nefesh. That's where it first comes out. A dead person. Avdu Eshter Noisav, right? For sure, but I'm telling you a different pasuk that Teitzei Ruchai Yashuv Lad Masai Bayomahu Avdu Eshter Noisav. All of his Ratzon is gone. Eshter Noisav is Ratzon. There's no more Ratzon, and once you die, there's no Ratzon, because the Chibur of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yeah, I'm saying a little bit Kabbalah, but if I say it, it can't be too deep. I don't know anything more. But what I do understand is that our Ratzon, the Eshtoinos of a person, has to be compatible to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Ratzon. That's only when there's a Nefesh. It's only when there's a Nefesh. It says further. So Eish Levana, let's get back to the white fire. The white fire. Asher hu Ratzon ha'elyon kisayid, because what is hidden, nikra gavan lavan, whatever is hidden is called the white light. Shegavan lavan, because white color, the color white, einoi b'chlal gavan, is not even a color. Ki yadua. The colors, you see the way colors work. This is a fact. Scientific fact, that black is a combination of all colors, and white is no colors. Gavan lavan is no colors. Is it? V'lachein sirtute ha'oisiyos. Now here's an interesting thing. Before you do sirtut. So what's sirtut? Etch with an instrument. You take a ruler on the parchment and you lines. and you write on those lines. Pashut Pshat in those lines is that you write straight. But the right straight, sirtut, sefer Torah, Allah Moshe Sinai. If there's no sirtut in the sefer Torah, you'll look at a sefer Torah and you'll see that there's transparent underlining or lines that go through the whole sefer Torah. That's sirtut. Can't have a color. Like, why don't we just make lined paper? Do it with ink. It'd be even nicer, no? Like lined paper would be perfectly straight. But, and it has to be done lishma. So the sirtut of a sefer Torah, it's called sirtut. It's spelled with a sin, but it could be spelled with a samach. Is halacha l'Moshe Sinai. So it says the Kedushas Levi, hasirtut sirtutei ha'oisiyos hu al gabe gvil. Ha'oisa sirtutin hu hachana sheyichtov oisiyos al gabam. That when you're preparing, when you're taking the ratzon, and you're taking the ratzon, and you're starting to articulate it into the world of Gashmius. So that's called sirtut. I'm taking parchment, which is ayin. I'm doing sirtut on it. I'm scratching into it, which is allowing me to write on there. So that's sirtut. It doesn't have a color. It's just a scratch. But the sirtut means that I'm being mechen this eish levana for eish shechayra, or I'm being mechen the parchment for ink. Yeah, you understand this? So that's the sirtut is articulating the ratzon on the first level. That's what the sirtut is. If you don't have it, you can't skip straight to the oisius. And if you just have it, by the way, the parchment has kedusha. Once you do sirtut on a cloth, the cloth has some kedusha. The sirtut is a hachana. The sirtut is taking the ayin and starting to put the world of yesh into it. That's what the sirtut is. Ha'oisa sirtutin hu hachana sheyichtov oisios al gabam v'chein ha'ayin, and so it is with ayin in the sense of yesh me ayin. Chein ha'ayin hu hachana l'chol davar. So again, we have to stop thinking of ayin as nothingness and start thinking of ayin. It's not the eish shechayra al gabi eish levana. The eish levana was just as important, if you will, as the eish chayra, and maybe even deeper. Maybe even deeper because how it manifests itself, how it comes out in a noise. That's a second step. That's already more gashmias. But the cloth itself is where the Ratzon Hashem is. See, it's interesting that there's a halacha. Once you have the insight, all the halachas are become so clear. But there's a halacha that a letter, every letter of a sefer Torah has to be mukaf gevil. Mukaf gevil means that it's surrounded by parchment, which is a funny way of saying it because it could just simply say it shouldn't touch the next letter. Right? So the answer is nafkamin is this. Let's say it's the first letter on a line. So can you cut the parchment right up to the letter? So it's not touching anything, it's just starting. You have a kosher letter there, but it's not mukaf gevil. And the answer is you can't. Meforshim Shulchan Aruch that you can't. Is the charaya that the Gemara Menachos means, the Gemara Menachos is saying, that it's not good enough the letter's not touching the other letter. That's just, that's a psul of Negiah. But there's another psul of mukaf gevil. It has to have gevil around it. Why? Because you can't have an ois in a vacuum. If I have a maisa, let me just explain this in a way that I can understand. If I have and I have no ratzon in that maisa, so I'm not really doing a maisa. I mean, I'm doing a maisa, but it's robotic. It's a maisa koif ba'alma. The insight to when we talk about like davening with kavana is davening with ratzon. Yehi ratzon milfonecha. So the Ratzon is more than just kavanah. I'm thinking about what I'm saying. It's mukaf gevil. The ice itself has to have the context of love, and because the Torah is given, eish chayra al gabe eish levana. So the eish levana is the Ratzon, and this is already the manifestation, the articulation of that Ratzon. Is everybody with me? Or I see blank. No?
But we're able to do a lot of mitzvahs. I mean, it doesn't affect the same thing with the kavanah, but we accomplish things in the world without
Okay, that's a bidiyah. I mean, that's by accident, but it doesn't mean it does anything.
About like world of mitzvah in general, we're able to do.
Like what? You build a car without Ratzon, you mean?
I do mainly things mechanically when I'm.
Chaval.
Could be it could be that the
mechanical.
Ratzon.
When you tell your child you love them, you can't do it mechanically, right?
If I'm fixing my car, I can do it mechanically.
Can you?
But there's lots of, Ratzon doesn't have to be conscious. It can be, like you were saying before, a person thinks of something, goes to the whole cheshbon, and it usually comes back to the original thing. So you can fix your car mechanically, but there was a Ratzon that...
Somewhere. You know, you see this the sign up. I'm not sure what the makar is, but you see the sign up in many shuls that tefillah b'lai kavana keguf b'lai neshama. Says somewhere. Nice. Yeah, fair. But I don't know if it says it anywhere or not. But it's ebes, because in other words, tefillah b'lai kavana means that I'm saying oisius. I'm saying words, but the words it's like writing a check without having any money in the bank. You could do that pu'ula, but if you don't have if it's not backed up by Ratzon, so there's nothing which is making it. So at least in Torah things, I'll talk about fixing your car, but at least in Torah things, you need lishma, even matzah.
Like you said, Ratzon is the beginning. I'm davening because I have a Ratzon
Emes.
and then the rest of the davening
Is mechanical. Mechanical. So better would be if there was a Ratzon in every letter. But l'chol hapachas, there's a Ratzon. So of course, I'm coming here to daven, and I want to daven, and I want to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So even if I don't have that, I'm not a big tzaddik that I have that in every ice. But my whole the context of it. Let's put it this way: my tefillah is mukaf gevil. It's mukaf gevil, surrounded by parchment. I have, but the gevil. I want to get this across. The gevil becomes even in a way deeper than the letter itself.
I heard someone from the Stipler said that someone who davens, even if he doesn't have such kavanah for what he's saying, as long as he's looking at the letters, the words in the siddur,
Right.
that helps a lot.
Right. We quoted that here a couple of weeks ago from the Balatanya. Even a little earlier. The Balatanya, but it has to be that the pshat is that you're not. The pshat is that it's coming from, like David is saying, it's coming from an original Ratzon. So of course, is coming to Shol. He's coming to David. What's he coming? But let's just say this: the more Ratzon, the better, because Ratzon is really Nefesh. Nefesh Hachaim says that it means the Ratzon, and the Ratzon is the whole idea is to be toemet with the Ratzon Hashem. So this is, by the way, a very sort of complex, complicated, deep, but it's also very simple. That when you do something, you do it with ratzon, like enthusiasm, ratzon. When you're doing something because you want to do it, it's like, if we teach our children to want to do something, so you have a much better result than if they're just doing it because they have to do it, or they're going to get in trouble because they don't do it. And that's, I think, also like with adults, that it's the whole idea is to do mitzvos and to daven, to do Torah, because there's a ratzon there. Once you're compelling it, once you're forcing it, so it's dubious whether it's even a good chinuch. It's a good habit, maybe. But it's dubious whether it's really good chinuch, because what you're teaching somebody to do is to articulate without ratzon. You just daven, hold your feet together and say the words. You wonder if that's good chinuch or not. I don't lo barur. You can go back and forth on that. On the one hand, it's a good habit, but is it a good habit?
So are you saying that, like the stapler in the Balatanya, that if you're at least looking at the osius, so that gives you a bit more of a connection with the ratzon?
Of course, I mean, I'm saying they said, but we shouldn't take too much comfort in that because that's not the goal.
We try to do better.
Right, the goal. So I want to get through this paragraph. V'chein kosev ha'raivid, this is a raivid, the sefer Yetzirah, b'hakdama. Okay, there's a hakdama of the raivid to the sefer Yetzirah. Everybody go through that already?
Do we have it?
Vahu, he had it. Vahu, beside, it says the Ravid, the pasuk says, Heichin ufahal zaharei chamo. Hashem, translate for us, Moshe. Heichin ufahal zaharei chamo. Hashem prepared and he activated Heichin Ufohal, the rays of light. Zaharei Chama. What is Zaharei? Zayar.
Radiance.
So light is this. Light, again, I don't want to talk like a physicist because light is this, like, you can't see light. You really can't see light. You can only see light as it's reflected on something, and then you have the gavonim, which is the colors. You don't see light. If it's light in here, it means you see the things in the room. It's the light per se. It's a big pilpul in the Makas Choshech that the Rishonim want to say that the Choshech there wasn't just that there was no light. There was actually a Metzias of Choshech, like a new bria of Choshech that came out. But Heichin Ufahal Zaharei Chama. When you think about light, if there would be no matter, there would be no point in the light. What's the point of the light when there's nothing to reflect? Hachana is the key. Heichin, Hashem said, okay, making a world here. How are we going to make this world show? How are we going? So he did a hachana, and the hachana was called or. So what it means is that the or, which he's going to tell us, the Ravid tells us, is really the Ratzon. So it's all part. It goes into the Ratzon department. We need to think about the light. Heichin kosev ha'raivid to sefer Yetzirah b'hakdama v'hu side heichin ufal zarei chama u'b'hachano b'ratzon shel davar nikasef ha'ma'isa. And v'chein amar Mori, who is Mori the Barditchever? Magid Mezrich, who said over words of the Baal Shem Tov. V'chein amar Mori koyach ha'poyel b'nifal. There's more to the Baal Shem Tov than a lot of stories, you know. There's a lot of omek here. Koyach ha'poyel b'nifal. That Koyach ha'poyel b'nifal. It's a well-known mimer of the Baal Shem Tov. That a nifal is the thing itself, the nifal. But when you look at this nifal, this is a nifal. When you look at this nifal, what you're really looking at is the koach hapoel. You're looking at somebody created it, and something like the Chovos HaLevavos says that if you look at the world, you see there's Hashem. Koach hapoel b'nifal. But he's saying something much deeper here, that in this chumash, or in this table, or in this person, lies an entire ratzon of Hashem that manifests itself in us. Yeah? And when we do something, if our ratzon is compatible with the ratzon Hashem, then whatever we do is full, it's full with the ratzon Hashem. If we do something which is adverse to the ratzon Hashem, then it's full of bad ratzon. And the ratzon is the nefesh. You know, I just want to, just because I'm a little bit random in my thinking, but the Indian of Shiur, we learned, ta'amim, as Nefesh Hachaim said, the ta'amim, the trop, in the sefer Torah or the tune, is the neshama of the ois, which is the nefesh. Right? That's what you have in your chart there, Chaim. Not the tagim, the tamim. So Ramati, I gave a mashal. You say a Gemara, on my Rava, from the Niggin, you could understand the omek of the Gemara, or at least whether he has the omek of the Gemara. The Niggin. It's a very interesting that the Ramchal says the malachim don't know how to talk; they only know how to sing. Every time he says vayomer, it means they're singing. Don't be fooled. Malachim were speaking to Yaakov Avinu, Malachim were speaking to Yechezkel Hanavi, and to Avram Avinu by the Akedah, singing. It was all singing. Because the singing, because there's no goof, there's no nefesh, there's no ruach, but there's a neshama, meaning something which is of Hashem, and with that something which is of Hashem, they can sing. But I just want to parenthetically say something here, that the whole world of shiur, singing, we sing. People like to sing. Communal singing. And I pointed out that it's interesting that if I'm talking, you're talking, it's difficult. If we're both singing together, even if one of us has a bad voice, somehow it comes out nice. When the whole tzibur is singing, it comes out nice. It's a mess. There's dissonance sometimes. Some dissonance where it starts off on the wrong key and then the whole place is. But it probably doesn't bother anybody but me. But
I used to go to a shiur where before starting the shiur, we would all sing a niggun.
Very nice. Sing the whole shiur. Sing the whole shiur. Yeah, but like a musical, an opera. But the thing is like this, that the Chazam Sefer writes, and he brings from Kadmonim, I don't know who Kadmonim are, that shiur, the Lashon shiur, language, the word shiur, is a Lashon of shirayim, and it's a spillover of the nefesh, of the neshama, right? Meaning, what's going on in the deeper Ratzain is called shira. That's the shira, all the shira of the Torah, Bashalach, Hazinu. So shira, and I want to point out, as Rav Kook says, that one of the things the apostle will say for Torah is if when you write the shira, it's in the sefer Torah, right? It's what's it called?
Staggered.
What? Ariach Hagabi Levain. It's staggered like this, right? Let's say you decide you want to do that with Bereshis Bara Lakim. You like it. So you want to do Ariach Hagabi Levain. It has to be laid like bricks, meaning. Let's say you want to do that. So, usher. Because shira has to have that extra white space because it's the spillover shirayim, like a lashon of shirayim. It's the shirayim of the nefesh and the neshama. So I just want to point out something here that, like, let's say, the kids all ask, is there really anything wrong halachically with listening to non-Jewish music? So, I think to myself, I don't always say, there's a Mishnah Berurah about it. There's a difference between love songs and not love songs. But I just want to say to us, like, what's the omek of the question? Or what's the omek of the answer? The answer is, whose neshama are you letting get into your neshama? So the question is, like, what does it mean when we're in the middle of Shemona Esrei and, all of a sudden Elton John is there? I'm not saying, I think he's a particular maneuver, but I just, like, there's what we're not talking about a speech, which is dibur. We're not talking about a machshav, we're talking about the ratzo, because the genius of these musicians, and they are geniuses. The music that they do is very special. But the fact is that what you're having there, what you're seeing there, is an expression of a lave. Call it a lave or a nefesh, or depends on how specific. But you're seeing the ratzo, because shiur is the shiur of the ratzo. So when Jewish music, whatever that is a whole different regesh, because Dvar B'Habayim and Alev. So I'm not saying halacha agavim shalakum is asur. You're not allowed to listen to love songs. you know how they found out that Elisha ben Avuya was not Tzimzach? The Gemara says because he was always humming, Goyish songs. It's a Gemara. It's a version Gemara. And Sifrei Minim Nafal Mikisa.
Shaar said that he lost his son because he didn't sing Shabbos Nigunim.
Shabbos Nigunim. Okay.
Marseillaise.
I don't know if he lost him anyways, but let's say he did say something like that. I'll call upon him. We're halfway through we're halfway through the Kedushas Levi, but what we learned here, just to sum it up in one sentence, is that Ratzon, the Eish Levana, which represents the Gvil or the parchment, is the Ratzon of our own neshamas. The Ratzon of our own neshama, so that it's just to think about it in a deep way. You think about the white space in our own thinking pattern in our own life. The Beshalach, the Shira, has one set of white space because it requires much more neshama to sing Shira or Hazinu. There's different types of white space that goes. But every letter has to be Mukaf Gavil. Every letter has to have some whites, has to have that context. So, like the machshava of the Kedushas Levi, as we started, is the white space in our life. It's not just a hechatipsa to put black ink on it. It's part of it's probably the deepest part of everything, which is our ratzah. It's our shiur. It's the shiur. The shiur is hamalachim. Biksha malachi asher shiur. That's all they knew how to do. Was shira, but that's the ratzah. That's the deepest part. Okay, we'll stop here and continue.